We're just going to keep following these, all of this as it keeps tracking its way to the north and east. But 65 miles an hour is extremely fast. And that couplet is probably what we're going to be following. That's probably the possible tornado if there's one on the ground. Nicholas, has the Weather Service chat mentioned anything new on this particular storm?
Not seeing anything right now. We're going to kind of pull this up here. So we have that tornado warning. They've been talking about it there, but no immediate notes on the warning that I can see. Once again, this is kind of moving into a lesser populated area, which is a good thing.
And one thing I do want to point out is if we can quickly just show a wide view, area wide of the radar. I want to kind of show you what we've been dealing. So here's the nasty storm producing the possible tornado right there. Now, Nicholas is pulling out, and look at this. So there's more dry spots than wet spots. North of I-10, you're getting the most rain and storm activity. But no matter where you live, you're hearing that loud wind. And the reason why you're hearing it, the reason why it's been so windy all night, honestly, has nothing to do with the storms. It has to do with what's known as a pressure gradient. We're caught in between two pressure systems. You got a deep low to the west, and then you've got high pressure to the east. They're both producing a south wind. So you got two pressure systems battling it out, both producing winds out of the Gulf. And we're unfortunately stuck in between the two, so we're getting the wrath of it. Now, once this line of storms that's approaching Greene County and Washington County, once that moves over your area, your severe threat's done. So that means Okaloosa County, you will be the last spot in the area that will see your severe threat end. Greene County, Washington County, you'll be the first counties to see your severe weather threat end. And Nicholas is drawing out the estimated speed of the line. So the line would be over Biloxi at about 3:12 this morning. It would be over Jackson, which is in Clark County, central Clark County, at about 3:38 in the morning. So based on the current speed, this is when we'd see these things move in. Chatham, it would be showing up just after 3 o'clock in the morning. So these are all things that we're having to watch and monitor very closely. We're going to focus back on this storm. We have seen Pensacola International Airport has actually observed a wind gust of about 62 miles per hour. So we saw that taking place at just about 15 minutes ago. So you've got wind gusts that are right in the mid-tropical storm range, even without rain and storms in your individual area. But the possible tornado would be crossing I-10 and US 90. Right around Holt, and it would continue to maneuver its way north and east. I think based on its trajectory, it would dodge Crestview, but it's still got to get over the Blackwater River State Forest before it would move over toward Escambia Farms. Munson, Baker would be about right here. That would be right near Florida Highway 189 and Florida Highway 4. So we're just going to have to continue watching this as it works its way through. But because it's moving at 65 miles an hour, this is not going to be a prolonged warning. Hopefully we won't have many of these as we go through the course of the morning. We're still scheduled to start Good Day Gulf Coast as usual at 4:30 in the morning, and we'll be following these storms as they exit the region. By the time we get to about 7, 8 o'clock, things are already going to be looking better. And by mid-morning, this is all going to be a distant memory. So this is the tornado warning. It expires at 3 a.m. It's this red box known as a polygon, which means it does not cover the entire county. Not all of Okaloosa and Santa Rosa is included in this, only sections that could be in the path of the storm. So it doesn't include Fort Walton Beach, doesn't include Niceville, doesn't include Navarre, Destin, anything like that. But it does include Holt, it does include Crestview, it does include Baker, it does include Munson. And even if a tornado is not on the ground, you've still got heavy rain, ferocious amounts of lightning, and very dangerous winds that are going to be moving through. And even straight line winds can knock down trees and power lines, especially if you've seen a lot of rain overnight. It makes the soil moisture wet, saturated, makes it easy for old trees to knock down. And Nicholas, is it just me? But I mean, we've still got ferocious velocity, no doubt about it. Winds are high, but the couplet seems to be fizzling out.
Yes, this looks to be very much more broad rotation. In fact, you can actually kind of see how the separation literally of the red and green has gotten bigger. And that's not what we look for whenever we're looking for a tornado. It's got to be those pixels really close.
You want them like hugging each other.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. You need to have those close together in order to get a good signature for a tornado. And it has to be co-located with a good radar signature, a good reflectivity signature. And that's just not what we're seeing right now. However, and this is a good point, we have so much shear going on right now just in the atmosphere, hence why it's so windy.
That is another point. So for a tornado, you need two key ingredients. Nicholas pointed one out, shear. You need harsh wind shear. The other is unstable air. In the summertime, we've always got unstable air, right? It's super humid even at 4 o'clock in the morning, but we don't have the wind shear. In the wintertime, it's a little different. We have the wind shear, we don't have the unstable air. That's why the springtime is when you have the most tornadoes, because that's when you get both. That's the highest probability to get both the wind shear and the unstable air. But every so often, in a month like January, you can get enough humid air thanks to a warm front to kick off a tornado threat. We saw the temperature jump 20-25 degrees from yesterday afternoon to where we are now. Temperatures are already in the low 70s at the moment. So the high for the day is now. The temps fall once we're on the back edge of that last line of storms. And Nicholas is right. The couplet is getting broader. It's getting wider, and you need them closer together for there to be a rotating wind. But this doesn't mean it's not dangerous. You can still have straight line winds that are producing massive amounts of wind damage that can knock over trees into homes or knock power lines down. Very heavy rain, lots of lightning. But you see how fast it's already moved. The danger is already over if you live around Holt or the I-10 corridor. In the blink of an eye, that's gone. But you've still got a ton of lightning, and that's still marching its way northeast. And even before we came on the air, Nicholas had been live streaming all of this on Facebook Live. Nick, I remember you were following this storm even when it was way out over the Gulf of Mexico.
Yes, in fact, it was a conversation that Chief Meteorologist Jason Smith and I had very, very early on. I walked in, and we saw this storm in the Gulf, and it was like, okay, this is going to be our friend. And what do you know? We have a tornado warning that's ongoing with it, but as Michael was saying, a lot of us are dry right now. Here's the wide loop, and this is going through a wide period of time. Look at this big dry slot here. This is all going to be ahead of our next main line that we're watching. So we still have more coming for Mobile County and into Baldwin County with our main squall line that's here. But right now, our main concern, our thing why we're on the air at this point, is a tornado warning that has been issued for Santa Rosa and Okaloosa counties. This tornado warning does not include Pensacola, but it is including places to the north and east of Milton. So yeah, definitely something that we're tracking right now.
Exactly. And the warning is set to expire in 13 minutes. So if the Weather Service feels necessary, they'll let it lapse, or they'll drop it early, or if they think there's enough evidence to continue it, they'll issue a new one. But as of now, it's still slated to expire at the top of the hour. So it is a radar indicated rotating storm, and it was one that when I came in about 1:30 in the morning, you could see it over the Gulf. It was the nastiest looking storm cell we had seen, and there was not enough rotation for a tornado warning when it first moved ashore, but it was still ugly, and we still had to follow it. And then when Nick and I were doing a live stream in our connected TV channel, Fox 10 Gulfstream, sure enough, a tornado warning went off instantly, and we had to stop that stream and jump on the air. So we've still got these bright colors of green and red. That still means the winds are ferocious, but as far as a couplet, it's just not happening. So although we still have a very nasty storm and high wind in this section of Santa Rosa County, eastern Santa Rosa County, east of Milton, around I-10 and US 90 near Holt, it's not producing the same kind of couplet we saw when we first came on the air. But we're going to, Nicholas is backtracking this in time, and you can see as he runs it forward, you can start to see right there where you have that red and green, that would be the possible tornado right there, and that would be at 2:36 in the morning based on the timestamp. And then as we go through time, they just keep getting farther and farther apart. And that happened in a span of 15 minutes. So we're looking for possible debris where you see these bright colors. If there were a tornado on the ground, you would end up seeing these bright colors in that region. It represents debris lofted from the radar. We are seeing some bright colors, so that could be debris. It could be the radar beam picking up something else at this point. We're not really too sure, but we look at all of these things on the radar just to help make an accurate assessment on, is a tornado on the ground? Where could it be? Where is it moving? And you can see the storm cell is veering north and east, so it's heading over toward Okaloosa County, toward Crestview. So for most of the area, there is no tornado threat right now. And as Nick pointed out earlier, most of you aren't even dealing with rain at the moment. But this is the one we're on the air for, and this is the one we're still following. And we've been monitoring a chat with the Weather Service office, and they keep us up to date on possible damage, whether or not warnings will be extended. They just let us know, Jason Beeman, who runs the Weather Service office in Mobile, that the Pensacola International Airport, when this storm was over Pensacola earlier this morning, they had a wind gust of 62 miles per hour. Keep in mind, that's just 12 miles an hour below Category 1 hurricane strength. So that is a ferocious wind. And we've seen wind gusts close to that area-wide through the overnight hours, which is why a lot of you probably have had trouble sleeping over the last few hours because of this nasty pressure gradient. Nick just pulled it up. These are current wind gusts. Pensacola, almost 60 miles an hour. Gulf Shores, 35. Bay Minette, 33. Mobile, 47. Lucedale, Pascagoula, a little less intense for you at 27 and 30. Chatham at 25. But the worst of it, Destin's got 43. The worst wind, though, being picked up in Mobile and in Pensacola. Weather Service is canceling a severe thunderstorm warning. That's for Clark and Monroe County. But as of now, it looks like the tornado warning will linger for at least the next 10 minutes. But it is slotted to expire at 3 a.m. Should that happen, we'll go off the air on Fox 10 television, and we will be back on the air if we don't have any more warnings at 4:30 for Good Day Gulf Coast. We'll probably still do live stream updates that you can follow on the Fox 10 News Gulf stream and on Facebook Live. But as far as being on television, we'll likely hold off until Good Day Gulf Coast starts. So again, the reason why we came on the air is because of a possible tornado that was rolling through Santa Rosa and Okaloosa County, and the couplet has certainly faded away, which means that it's not producing the same kind of rotating wind it looked like it was earlier, but it's still producing a very high straight line wind. It's also producing a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning. Nick's showing us the mesoscale discussion, and it looks like the tornado watch will continue. Let's see, that looks like it's going to continue on. I know the whole area is supposed to go at 7, but likely what we're going to see is that dropping off from west to east, because the greatest tornado risk continues in the warm sector, which is where we are right now. Everyone is seeing temperatures mostly in the 70s. But this line is what's going to change that. Once this line moves east, which it's going to do later this morning, and once your area is behind that line, you're going to see the temperatures begin to fall, the humidity begin to fall, stable air will take back over. Let's see, the Storm Prediction Center is saying that the region near the warm front and the influx of the higher surface air values may support an increasing tornado threat over the next several hours. And Nick, when did they publish that? That was published
just seconds ago.
Oh, wow. So this is new.
Very new.
Very new.
4:40. Let's see, valid until 4:45. I'm not showing the graphic on here. This is something that we're looking at on our end. This was just released from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Of course, they're watching everything. They're the ones that issue the daily outlooks, the severe weather outlooks, and they're issuing what we call a mesoscale discussion, essentially looking at the small scale, local scale, saying that we might have an increasing tornado risk over the next few hours in this area with these very powerful supercell thunderstorms that are ongoing. So just something that we're keeping an eye on.
And what I just thought about is we're, 3 hours away from sunrise. Heating of the day will refuel the formation of the storms. What I'm hoping takes place is that this upcoming tornado threat will be more for locations to the east outside of our area. Walton County, places like that, Houston County, Geneva County, and Alabama and Florida, and away from our area. And the sooner we get that line through, the better off we're going to be. But I do think, because these locations, East Alabama, Eastern Florida Panhandle, they're still in a level 3 severe weather risk zone through today, where that's expected to drop off for us. So tornado warning. We're zooming back into that, is set to expire in the next 7 minutes. 3 o'clock in the morning is when that's going to lapse. Notice we've got another storm cell just to the south of that. Now, it's not producing any sort of tight wind gradient or a couplet, which we would look for a possible tornado, but it is a nasty storm cell. So I think as we go through the morning, if we see a tornado threat, additional tornado threats, it's going to be those of you on the Florida Panhandle from Pensacola to Destin in our area. It's still very possible we could have tornado warnings in Mobile, Baldwin County, Washington, or Clark. Absolutely. But I think the probability of that is fading the closer that main line gets to you, because that threat shifts over to straight line winds. We're hoping it'll beat the daytime heating process, which begins at what, 6:50 in the morning, so almost 7 a.m. It's because once we're past 7, the sun's out, and that's when we're going to see. And yeah, the Weather Service has just canceled it just now. The rotation has weakened. They're going to let that tornado warning lapse, which is excellent news. So we are thankful for that. Nick has letting us just take a glimpse at what we've got near Niceville from that secondary storm cell, and you can see the red and the green. There is a little bit of a couplet there, so it's going to bear watching. The Weather Service may pull the trigger on that. Again, if we see tornado warnings, I think it's going to be for those of you on the Florida Panhandle, the far east regions of our area. I just don't think the probability is very high. We're going to see this kind of thing in Mobile, Baldwin, or Washington, Clark. I think it's really going to be an issue for the Florida Panhandle, and then sooner rather than later, we'll start to see that risk shifting into Walton County and for locations that are outside the Fox 10 viewing area. But for now, there is no tornado warning for this storm, but it's one that we will just have to monitor in case the Weather Service feels that it does warrant a warning. So it's got an inflow notch, and it's got a little bit of a hook on the shape of the reflectivity. So
yes, and they just said that they're watching this one. The only reason that caught my eye, remember we talked about the red and green right close to each other. It may be an artifact of the radar, but we did have a little area that, and you can see it right there, that
right here.
Yes, that looked like suspect for just a couple seconds. And, you know, we can't rule out the possibility of some very quick sped-up tornadoes because there's just so much shear in the atmosphere. But once again, just to repeat, the tornado warning has been canceled for Santa Rosa and Okaloosa County. But we are watching very closely some of these other thunderstorms in the Panhandle. As Michael mentioned, this is the area that has the supercells right now. Those are the supercells, those top-of-the-line thunderstorms that could be producing the possibility of tornadoes. But we are also watching that squall line as well, which Michael's pointing it out. That's going to be slowly making its way through the area. And Michael, when you got here earlier, we were talking about some tornado warnings that were up in like Wayne County, Mississippi.
Right.
And that was within the squall line.
It was.
So something to think about there.
And I remember asking you, I said, Nicholas, do you think we could see tornadoes inside the main line? And you said, yeah, it's certainly possible. The odds are better for it to be these storms on the Panhandle that are well ahead of the line, but you could certainly still have tornado warnings in this. We saw it earlier this morning. So no one is in the clear yet. The only people that are in the clear would be Hattiesburg, which is outside our area. Hattiesburg, severe weather threats done. You can call it a night. Greene County, you'll be next to call it an all clear. Washington County, you'll be next to give it an all clear. So will Clark County. As this line sinks toward the south and east, those three counties will be the first to see the severe weather threat drop. And that is excellent news. Those of you in Santa Rosa, Okaloosa County, you'll be the last to see it drop. So that main line, based on its current speed, these are just estimates. It would be to Citronelle in northern Mobile County at 3:22. So it would be coming up in the next 25 minutes. It would be to Grove Hill about 3:38. It's going to keep working its way to the east, and it's going to go in a hurry. We're on the air during Good Day Gulf Coast. We're going to watch that line literally move through our area, and we're going to start to see it continue to see counties drop out of the tornado watch and the severe weather danger begin to subside. The one thing you can do in addition to watching us is scan this QR code right here that Nick just pulled up. That is going to get you access to our Fox 10 weather app. Now, what do you get with the app? Well, obviously, you're going to get live radar. That's a positive, right? But you're also going to get our futurecast data. You're going to get our 7-day outlook, hourly weather forecasts. You get our video discussions that we make just for the app, access to the Gulf Stream. You also get push alerts from any of the Fox 10 meteorologists. If we make changes to the forecast, changes to the timing, you're alerted to it right away. So it's a great tool to have. Even on good weather days, we encourage you to go ahead and get this. And you can also customize the watches and warnings you want to receive. It's always recommended that you get severe thunderstorm and tornado watches and warnings. They're sort of the most critical, but you can customize it however you want. So all you got to do is scan that QR code right there on your screen. You get access to it. If you have an iPhone, here's what you need to make sure you do, because you don't want it set in a situation where you're not getting alerts. So if you have Verizon, if you have AT&T, they're going to send out alerts automatically in a tornado emergency. They just will. But you want to make sure you hear that and wake up, right? So you got to have your emergency alerts on. To make sure whether yours are on an iPhone, you go to Settings, Notifications, Emergencies Alerts, and make sure your wireless emergency alerts are turned on. That way, if your cell provider issues a tornado warning, you get it. If you have Android, you go to Advanced Settings, Safety and Emergency, and same deal. Make sure the emergency alerts are left on. That way, if you are sound asleep, you hear it in the middle of the night, because getting that information is critical. And when you have a storm cell moving at 65 miles an hour, every second literally counts. So what Jason has pulled up is our Facebook pages. You can follow weather content on this all the time. There's Nick's, there's Matt's, there's Jason's, there's Jen's, and there's mine. And we want you to follow all 5 of us and get our weather content constantly. Scan that QR code right there. Get the Fox 10 weather app on your device. We will come back on the air if we get new warnings. Until then, we'll see you on the live stream. And Good Day Gulf Coast begins at 4:30. Stay safe.